Hi, welcome back to our video series STEAM at Home, where we explore science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics activities you can do right in your own home. My name is Brian, and today we're going to be exploring how you can build your own rolling ball track. So first, let's take a look at some of the materials you're going to need. Open up my bag here and see what we have today. So, we have some cardboard tubes, a couple cups, painter's tape, masking tape, some scissors, and a couple plastic balls. So today, for our activity, what you guys will be doing is using these kinds of tubes here, and it's okay if you don't have these tubes. There's several different things that you can kind of utilize as well. Everything from cardboard boxes you might have at home or old cereal boxes, even different types of 2-liter bottles or plastic pop bottles, or even pop cans that you can kind of cut up as well and utilize for this activity. These are just my favorite because they're easy to use, and when you kind of cut them in half, they're wonderful for the balls to kind of roll through. Now, you don't necessarily need these different type of plastic balls. You can use marbles, you can use bouncy balls, all sorts of different types of things. I've even used ping pong balls in the past before. So that's all up to you of what different types of kind of mechanisms you want to roll through your track today as you build stuff. And what we're going to be doing is putting this up on a wall. I'm sure that you've been to some of the museums where they've had the magnet ball tracks where you stick these on kind of this magnet wall, and then you set a marble down and it kind of rolls through all of these things, through funnels and different dips and everything else, using gravity as one of the main sources to pull it down. So we're going to do the same thing using gravity to pull our little balls through the rolling track. What you want to do with your kind of cardboard tubes is you're going to want to cut them in half, so they're almost like a U or a half pipe shape. And if you need adult assistance, be sure to ask for adult assistance. But what I'm going to do is cut through one side, and then you want to cut through exactly opposite where you cut before to make that half pipe or that U. So once you have that done, you'll see that it can hold your ball, and the ball can roll back and forth. And that's exactly what you want. Now, the cups can be used as kind of like catches or funnels. They can start your ball off at the top of your ramp, however that you want, and they're a great addition to kind of your rolling ball tracks. You can cut the bottoms of them out if you want. You can cut little side notches out so it catches it and could direct it in a different way. And you'll see that when we start building our track on the wall here in just a little bit. Now, if you want to adjust this a little bit more, you can actually bend these so it kind of creates almost a little curve as well. And what you want to do there is cut tiny little notches, not all the way through, but just like these little flanges here that you see. And once you cut those, cut them on one side, and then cut them exactly opposite on the other side. Make sure they line up as well. And that will allow you to curve parts of your track. So you can have bent sections, angled sections, all sorts of things that are really fun to put in there. So now the ball can kind of roll through, and you can have little drops and hills and everything else that you want. So let's go take a look at our building that we're doing on the wall. So what you'll see in this time lapse is as we start working on our rolling ball track here, is I started at the top, kind of taping this on with our blue painter's tape. Now, I think blue painter's tape is wonderful for this because most of the balls that you're going to be working with on these tracks are going to be fairly lightweight. And blue painter's tape goes on to a lot of wall surfaces pretty easily. I'm using a door right now because it's easy for me to tape things to this door and remove it later. Be sure to check with your parents of where they want you to build this activity. And definitely don't try to put it on a newly painted wall or wallpaper. Try to avoid those. So that's why I use this door. It's easy, it's not going to damage the door. I've also seen people use magnets, so if you have magnets at home and you want to put them on your refrigerator, that's a great place to do it as well. Or some type of wall that you can use painter's tape and it's not going to damage that. So as you see, as we're kind of creating this, I've taken one of those pipes and cut the little flanges in it so I can bend it, make sure that it catches the ball. And you'll notice that my track still has a couple gaps in it. What I'm actually using is the inertia that the ball has actually picked up to make sure that it is going through this track. One of the two things that you kind of learn as you start building these tracks is there's two different types of energy that the ball is actually going to have. The first is potential energy, or energy due to its position. So when we put it at the top of the track, the ball has a lot of potential energy as it just sits there waiting for the energy to transfer into another type. That means it is going to want to go downhill once the change of the ramp happens. And then the other one is kinetic energy, so due to motion. And now energy can't be ever kind of destroyed, it is only really changed. So it's going to change into these kind of two, either potential energy or kinetic energy as it moves down the ramp at different speeds. You'll notice that I put a cup there to kind of catch it, and then it drops into a couple other areas of longer cut tubes. Now, if you want a really long cut tube, I suggest if you have any like old Christmas wrapping tubes that aren't being used anymore, those are great to utilize and create really long sections of track. I've built some of these down kind of like wall, like a staircase wall before, where it spanned the whole staircase before. It's really a lot of fun to do that as well. So if you have a big staircase in your house with a wall and your parents give you the okay to do that, that's a really fun place to kind of utilize those areas. Now, as we get into kind of this other section of the track, I kind of flattened it out with just very little tilt. And what happens with that is it's going to slow down these rolling balls, as you see here when we start to test it a little bit. And it's going to almost come to like a stop right at the end of this piece and then start rolling back. I really like to do these in some of the different builds that I've done before on walls and doors and various things. And then the very end part here is where the ball kind of bounces back and forth really quick and ends up in a cup. I love cups to have it just at the end to catch things and kind of go from there. So it's really a lot of fun to do these various things to put all this together. And all of this is built out of kind of one single thing called an inclined plane. And it's one of the 6 simple machines. So with inclined planes, what you'll actually have is kind of that sloped ramp for the ball to actually roll down. And it is a wonderful simple machine that you can be used in a lot of different ways, not only for just rolling things down, but it also makes for things pushing easier up an inclined plane. If you've ever had to carry things or push a cart up a ramp, the more steep the ramp is, the harder it is to really push up that object on an inclined plane. So we're using here this inclined plane and the opposite effect. If we have a steep inclined plane, it provides a lot of energy to the ball for it to pick up a lot of speed. If there is kind of almost a flattened out inclined plane, it is going to provide a slower pace for the balls to roll at. And now when I was kind of done with everything, I decided the way that I wanted to start this was another one of our simple machines. which is a pulley. So I taped a cup to its side on the top. I actually put a string over the top of it so I could pull on that string and it would launch that ball down our track. That's one way where I could set the ball up at the top of the track and pull on the string, and it would launch that and go down the track. So I wouldn't have to worry about, did I let the ball go too soon, anything that I didn't want to happen. So I actually include 2 different simple machines within this project. So the first, inclined planes with all of our little different slopes that we have on there for the ball to roll down. And then the second was that pulley that we had on our system as well. So that was a lot of fun to build. So one of the challenges that I give you guys at home is, can you make your ball do a loop? How much energy does it need to make it to go in a complete loop and stay for the whole entire time and still make it down the rest of your track? The second thing I challenge you guys to try to do at home is, how long can you make your track? Not just physically long, but time-wise. Can you make a track that takes a really long time for your ball to get through? And another challenge is to come up with a really unique feature that takes the ball from the bottom of the track back up to the top of the track without you touching the ball. So that's a wonderful challenge to do as well. And if you come up with a really cool design or idea that you want to share, be sure to share it down in the comments below or on our social media so everyone can see the designs that you've built. And be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel down below, and while you're at it, if you haven't already, hit that bell icon to be notified of all of our new content coming out for our STEAM at Home video series. That's all for today. We'll see you right here for our next activity at STEAM at Home. Bye guys!